As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be.
Oh man, it's 8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a.
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
BravBros. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of BravBros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Poop Shoot Magoots, and I have a funny backstory to that one. What's up, dude?
Poop Shoot. I kind of want to hear what the funny backstory is.
So we got a message. I appreciate to all of our listeners that they really took this job seriously. When I said I need Magooter names, I need new material, we got a lot of feedback. We got a message from a mother that was, I guess, driving with her 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I will find her name and give you credit where credit's due at some point. It has been lost in the inbox, but I will find it. But she said, not my 6-year-old saying Poop Shoot Magoots in the back of the car.
I love that.
So now we're corrupting children.
Yeah, what else is new? Honestly.
What?
Anyway, we had a lovely weekend, little R&R for the boys. We came back tanned, handsome, just looking forward to reunion week.
Oh,
there's a lot going on.
I know.
Happy that we're having 2 episodes because we get to kind of clear the air a little bit. We don't have to hold on to too much. Wait until Friday, do the whole thing. We get to get it out now, and we go in tomorrow open-minded.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I'm glad that it's broken down. This is week 2 of 2 episodes. It couldn't have come at a better time. And I said this to you before we started recording. I've enjoyed all of these seasons for the most part, but I am so ready for this round of shows to be over. I am emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
And if we had to do all of this in one episode, I don't know if I could keep up just because it's so much and it's so much energy and raw emotion across the board, whether it's Jersey, Summer House, Vanderpump. There's so much shit to focus on that I can't focus. So I'm ready to have some fun in like the beginning of seasons again. Like I'm ready for the beginning of seasons.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I don't really feel the same way about Summer House. I feel like Summer House was kind of weird.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
It wasn't like emotionally invoking at all. I know Jersey will be tonight. We're filming Tuesday night, so we'll get that recap to you guys on Friday. That'll be action-packed with VPR back-to-back with Jersey. And today we're just going to focus on a little bit of Atlanta and the Summer House reunion. So I think this is a good ease into the week for the boys.
Yeah.
And doing a little bit of plug action. If you're listening to this morning, you're in the Philly area, the boys will be at Barstool Sansom tonight for part 2 of the VPR reunion. We're going to have a whole party going on there. I know City Sips is beforehand. Try to keep yourselves under control before you show up. Because honestly, if you're screaming over Lala and James screaming again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle that. But we'll be there, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. We posted a bunch of stuff about it today. So if you're in the area, come on out to Barstool Sansom. I think it's hysterical it falls on City Sips night because it could make for a very eventful evening. It's already going to be action-packed, but you add 4 hours of pregame to that the weather in Philly has been perfect. It's been between like 70 and 80 max and like a little breeze. So City Sips is going to be jumping to go from that to a Vanderpump reunion watch party. Let's just hope Georges Niang is there again.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
I think the energy is going to be through the ceiling, and I'm excited for it. I haven't watched a TV show in this environment in my entire life.
Well, that's the thing is like, I feel like something like this you can definitely do in a bar. I know people go to bars to watch things like the Succession finale or going back like to Game of Thrones. I couldn't do that. There's no way I'd be able to do that because you have to pay attention to everything. This is a little different because everybody's kind of rooting for the downfall of Sandoval.
Reactionary.
So it is, and it's reactionary, like you said. Now, I will say, one, I've been too old for City Sips for about like 6 years now.
I never did
it. Yeah, you never even got a chance to do it. It was one of those things that was a lot of fun when I was like 22, 23, and then I got really tired and I couldn't go to work anymore hungover.
Yeah.
So I'm putting that behind me, but I won't be there for City Sips. I will be there at Barstool, of course. Another thing that popped up that I said that I was too old to do, which now I can't.
Pageants.
Pageants, yeah. Well, there is that. Yeah, thanks, Trump. Um, no, I saw a little clip from last week's VPR reunion at Barstool, and they were running around. I guess they were doing bottle service and stuff, and there were sparklers and the big white sign that said like Sandoval is a liar. Those things that happen at clubs, and I'm like, I'll never be at a club that I'll be able to see something like that.
There we
Here
go.
I am.
Here we go, baby.
I'm
I
back.
haven't been in that atmosphere since I was like 24 playing baseball.
Mhm.
So I'm ready to see some sparklers. I want to hold the big sign. If you saw on their Instagram, they have a big sign that says like Sandoval's a liar. I want the sign, but come on out. You have to reserve a seat. I think you just go online to do that. So just come on out, hang out with the bros. Plug number 2. July 26th, we are in New York City at the City Winery with a hashtag no filter night out with our boy Zach Peter. It's going to be a great time. Like we said previously, we have a list of guests. We have people pining for these spots. We're going to have to make some cuts, but the guests are going to be amazing. The energy at the first show is incredible. Shooter talked about it last week. We got our sea legs now. You know, we've been on stage, we've been in front of the audience, so now we know what to expect. It's going to be an even better show for you guys. If you're in the Philly area, if you're in the New York area, if you're in the Boston area, if you're in the Northeast, period, and you think that you are a fan and a listener of this show, then you should be at the live show. Come hang out with us live. We want to interact with you guys. There's a meet and greet beforehand. So go get your tickets now. Go to nofilterlive.com and buy some tickets. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a blast.
Oh, yeah.
The main city winery. Everyone keeps asking, which
main one.
winery? It's the main.
We don't know the landscape of New York yet. I've been told it's on 11th, if that helps anybody.
Oh, that would be really helpful. That's an address.
Well, I've been told. That
Oh.
doesn't mean that it's definitely true.
Maybe.
I don't have an address.
We will have the address for you on Friday. How about that? We'll
Yeah.
look it up because this is ridiculous that we were just
I know that it's actually, I think it's downtown New York.
But we did do another call to the audience to try to figure out segments for our second episode. We don't want to rose and thorn it for both. We're saving that for our Friday episode. We had an interesting proposal, and I'm going to try it out. We're going to see how it works because we are sports guys first and foremost, and a lot of things in the sports world are ranked by power rankings. You go to the preseason power rankings where the teams fall before the season starts, midseason power rankings, postseason power rankings. There's always power rankings, and that is the best and the worst. So we're going to do what we're watching right now. We're going to power rank them.
Okay.
All right?
I like it.
I want you to go first because you're more of the power ranking guy anyway, I think.
Fair. I think go.
Fucking
Get out of
do
here.
it.
Go. I think first on both of our lists is going to have to be VPR. There's just no way around it. There's just so much content, so much to look forward to, so much to analyze, and there's just no way that any of these other shows can really touch it. Obviously, we are in reunion season now for a lot of these shows. I'm going to put Jersey at 2. Not that I think that it had a super stellar season by any means, but the trailer for all of the reunions looks electric. It looks volatile. I'm going to go with it at number 2. Third, I'm going to throw Summer House in there. Again, I mean, it's one of my favorite shows, but not a great season. And the start of this, and we'll get into this a little bit later, it doesn't look like we're getting too deep with anything quite yet. So putting it 3, I could have had that a little bit above Jersey, but I won't. I'm going to put Atlanta at 4. It's been a pleasant surprise. It's been nice to kind of get away from these reunions and the end of the seasons that we've kind of just been dragging through. And Atlanta's been a good little, a little new spark for us. And I feel like I'm missing one. Martha's Vineyard, I'm putting at the bottom just because, one, I don't think anybody's really watching it too much. And we haven't really talked about it. It's okay. I think there's a lot of room to grow. I think it might be something that you want to put on. They probably should have thrown it in the summer a little bit more.
It's a good Peacock show.
It's a very good Peacock show.
Because it's one that like I have checked in and out of. I think that there is promise there. I do think that there's a show there. I think that the cast is entertaining. Like I think that they are on to something.
Yeah.
And the feedback I have gotten from some of our listeners, they do enjoy it. I don't hate it. I think we'll probably get more into it, especially as the summer goes on, where when the new shows start rolling out, like we'll start adding in some more Martha's Vineyard. We are watching it, so we will get to it at some point. My power rankings are 1 VPR because I would argue there's never going to be another reality TV season quite like this in any show. I don't think you can match. Obviously, there's going to be similar events that happened, I think. I don't think that it's crazy to think there's another cheating scandal out there. but one that was as polarizing and took the world by storm like this. I don't think you're going to see that in reality TV, period. I think it's like the pinnacle. So that's number one, standalone. Two, I'm going Atlanta.
Okay.
And I think
I like
it's
it.
because of the timing. I think because of when we got into it, I was looking for that like breath of fresh air, like the, oh my God, this is fun again. Like everything's so serious right now and everything we're watching.
Hmm.
Atlanta was a nice reprieve from that. And I love the characters. To me, it feels like the most real cast I think I've seen in a long time. Like their drama and their bullshit and all that is genuine. And their clapbacks are unmatched. I think it's just a really entertaining, really fun cast to watch. So I've really, really enjoyed that.
I would have had Atlanta, I think, a little higher up now.
If it wasn't reunion
We're
season.
doing it, it's partially, yes, but we're doing this on a week-to-week basis. So this week, it's hard to compete with reunions, of course.
Oh,
And I
that's
also
fair.
thought that Atlanta's episode was a little lacking. There wasn't a whole lot going on. We were missing a couple of key characters with Drew and Kandi being absent. So
That's fair.
that's why it got knocked down. But I'm going to try to be true to myself every week. If I really enjoyed an episode, I'm going to put that one towards the top of the list.
I think I went into this the wrong way. You did it the right way. I went with what I'm enjoying the most overall. I
Yeah.
didn't do it week to week. Next week I will amend it, but this week I'm going to continue on.
It's okay. You'll
At
figure
number,
it out.
fuck you. At number 3, I'm going to go with Jersey. And then 4 is Summer House for me, just because, again, the reunion was lacking a lot of substance for me. I don't think we got answers to a lot of the questions that we wanted to get answers to. And it seemed like a lot of unnecessary back and forth. So that's at a 4 for me. It's probably been sitting down there for the majority of the season. There's been a couple of bright spots towards the end of the year, but overall they need to come up with a new strategy in the offseason. They have a lot of rebuilding to do, as we like to say in the sports world. They got to rebuild this franchise. They got to start focusing on some of the younger stars. I think Sam has a lot of promise. I think that Corey needs to be a mainstay, and I think that Chris had a great year. You know, he kind of started off slow, and we'll get into all this more as we talk about Summer House in a little while, but that's my power rankings.
I think Summer House is going to be interesting, like you kind of hinted towards the rebuild. Something I think they kind of pigeonhole themselves with is the reunion running after Memorial Day weekend. You imagine they're going to start filming in the next couple of weeks, right?
Oh,
I think they
shit.
start like right before July 4th.
I didn't even
So they
think
have to
about
make a
it.
decision on what they're going to do before then. And I would like to think that they would hold out until after the reunion airs to know where people stand on certain people and if you want to give them the boot or bring new people in or whatever. So it's got to be really tough to analyze that and have that happen. So I don't know. I really don't think that it takes a long time to edit Summer House, something like that show. So I would actually recommend moving it up a little bit. Put it
Interesting.
through like the winter.
That'll give you like a bright note in the winter. You
Yep.
can look at some summer stuff instead of fucking Winter House. But anyway, let's move on. We got a little bit of news, midweek news. Up first, we all saw it. If you follow any Bravo account, then you definitely saw the phone call on a Southwest flight from Sandoval to Raquel. And I have questions. This seemed a little staged. This seemed a little obvious for me.
Interesting. Why?
Because of the
Elaborate.
way that he's sitting and his face is turned away, but the phone is facing towards the aisle. Like, he knows that he has eyes on him right now. I do feel like everything that Sandoval does is for the camera. I feel like it's for his image. I feel like everything that he's doing right now is scripted in his own head. I feel like this man has become his own idol. Like, he's idolizing himself. And I think that in his own mind, he is the victim in this scenario. I think that he is leaning on this whole crazy notion that he's been slighted because there's so much hate out there, that he's getting so much shit for it. And he's not showing any signs of remorse in this crazy journey he's going on, where he's going and playing shows. He's using Raquel's name in songs as like a farce. He's pretty much burning every bridge that he has, but he's kind of leaning on this, like, yeah, I'm like 50 days sober now, and I'm just trying to find myself. And the music has really helped me get through this. It's like, you did all this, you dumb fuck.
Yeah.
So I think that every single thing that we see come out from him needs to be overanalyzed. And I could be taken too far.
I think he kind of plans on everybody overanalyzing it. If you want to go down that road,
I do.
I'm a little confused. I just kind of thinking about that while you were breaking it down a little bit. Supposedly the flight was from LA to Texas, and that's where his quote unquote new girlfriend was. I thought that the timing was a little suspicious after that news dropped, that now we get a picture of him on a long phone call with Raquel. I was going to actually give not him, but the situation the benefit of the doubt a little bit because I know, like, if you're talking to somebody on AirPods, you're kind of just like playing with your phone and like it might be in your pocket, it might be in your hand, kind of
Okay,
wherever the
fair.
hell you want. So it could be that, and it might not be staged at all, or it might be that he's trying to throw people off and be like, no, I still care about Raquel. Like, because we talked about this last week. Do you want to go fully into that relationship and say, okay, yeah, I was caught cheating on my girlfriend for 9, 10 years with the girl that I was cheating on her with? I am now in a committed relationship. I'm talking to her all the time. I'm not actually going to Texas to go meet up with this crazy girl.
Oh, it
That's
makes him
doing this.
look
So, like, maybe
slightly
he's,
better
yeah, that
in
it could
his
be
mind.
that. There could be a lot of things here. Or maybe they are just like trying, they really only have each other as far as people that they know. Like,
And his
yeah,
stupid
he can
band.
call, yeah, his stupid fucking band. He can call Schwartz, I guess. But from what we understand about Raquel, she's got her family and that's pretty much it. She doesn't have
Yeah.
friends. She has no friends left. So maybe he's just checking in on her, and that's really the only people that they can really talk to about this situation without it blowing over. So it could be that too. I don't know. I don't really have the energy to overanalyze these things anymore. I kind of just want to see him squirm on screen.
Yeah, same.
So it is what it is.
The next bit of news comes from Beverly Hills, and we get some Beverly Hills in a month, I think, July 7th. Is that right?
I think so.
I think July 7th or 9th, one of those 2 days. Beverly Hills comes back. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for another dive into Beverly Hills. Never thought I'd say that after last season, but
I'm not yet.
you're not there yet.
I came back maybe a month ago and I was excited for it, but then I realized what I was excited for and it went right back
But it's
down.
a whole new dynamic now.
Maybe.
Maybe. Don't do that. I'm like
I
hopeful.
know. I know.
Come on, man. I'm looking for bright notes here. All right. I'm like, I got the vacation hangover.
The poison drips through.
But as I was saying, Erika Jayne was spotted with a new man, and she seems to have a type. That's all I'm going to say. She seems to have a type because initially I looked at the picture. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. We got another old dude. You did some more digging. Not only is he an old dude, he is a lawyer. You said he's an advisor to
No, he used to be an associate for Girardi.
Oh, boy.
So he was under the same firm. He made a lot of money suing nursing homes for negligence or whatever. He's big on elder abuse, which is fine. Kind of just an anecdote at this point. But he supposedly sent Erika Jayne just under $500K during her financial struggles, which we kind of get to see a little bit of that.
I would
last
love to
season.
make 6 figures a year on a TV show and still be having financial struggles.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you...
While also
like,
getting somebody to send you $500K.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it makes no sense. But this guy, digging a little bit deeper, just got arrested last month with something that was stemming from a domestic dispute where he actually discharged his weapon twice in his own house. And he was arrested immediately after that. Supposedly, he said that the woman that he was with hit him in the head and he just grabbed the gun so that she couldn't get it. And then he fired a shot as a warning, but there was a second shot that they didn't talk about. And he said he didn't point the gun at her, but then the woman saying that he held the gun to her head. So there's a lot going on there as well. And on top of all of that, he then posted today a picture of him and his wife, and it said, just me and my wife having a nice moment.
He's married?
Yeah. So
Wait,
3 days ago,
Right.
this picture pops up with them, the two of them in Las Vegas, walking through one of the casinos. And now he's saying, this is me and my wife having a nice moment. So he's got the discharge of a weapon going on, the Girardi.
Was the weapon with the
Connection.
wife?
It said unnamed woman. So there could be another woman in there.
So now it's a quadruple.
Yeah.
will.
I mean, like you said, she has a type. This seems a little overboard. Just saying.
Here's my thing. Erika Jayne, look, she looks fantastic. You're telling me that you can't go find a sugar daddy that's like not in trouble with the law and like maybe he's like 60?
Well, maybe she feels like, I don't know. We don't know why he sent her the $500K. We don't know how they're connected. Obviously, he worked for Girardi at one point in time. So they might actually have a close relationship, friendship, whatever. Things get overanalyzed as it is in this world. And obviously, when you're Erika Jayne and you're walking around with a 70-year-old man who's rich and sending you money, people are going to draw those conclusions.
That's not drawing conclusions. That's just
It might
connecting
be.
dots. What do you...
It's connecting dots. Yes, maybe. But maybe they're not having a sexual relationship.
Oh, I see
Maybe
what you're
they're
saying.
just friends.
Oh, okay.
And this guy's still a lunatic, but they could just be friends.
Yeah, he seems like the type that would just, have a lot of friends that are women. He seems like a really up and up guy that's just going to hang out with women on the side and be like, oh, this is totally platonic, though. I don't have any nefarious
The first
thoughts in
picture
my
that I
head.
saw was him taking like a shirtless selfie, which, I mean, anytime you're kind of a douchebag to do that, even if you're in your 20s and 30s, you're going to do it in your 70s. There's got to be a bell curve in there somewhere where maybe like, you know what, you still look pretty good. Good for you, buddy. But when you have all those other things going on, you're a douchebag again.
I just, whatever. Let's move on. We could keep doing this for 20 minutes. The last bit of news is going to be a quick touch. It's just, I've been going back and forth on how to do this one. RHOC,
Oh, God, no.
which is Real Housewives of Arden County. So RHOC or RHOC?
Can we just call it OC?
No, it's RHOC or RHOC.
Call it Orange County.
Or RHOC. RHOC. Anyway, RHOC is back on RHOC is back on June 7th. So we have a new show to talk about coming up soon. There's been a lot of whispers about this one. There's a lot of people saying that it's been delayed because it's not good. It's been delayed because there's like weird drama amongst cast members. Are you excited for this one?
No.
I'm
I'm really not. I mean, and I don't want people to just nitpick us because a lot of times if we're not excited for something or we're not enjoying something, they just say it sounds like you guys are complaining. The problem is if Bravo is not going to put out a good product, then what are we supposed to do? Act like we like it? No. I'm not really excited for it. One, because I don't think that Tamara did enough during her stint at Ultimate Girls Trip to kind of warrant this. Like, yes, was she pleasant enough? Sure.
But we got Vicky back too.
We got Vicky back too, and Vicky towards the end of Ultimate Girls Trip, I actually kind of came around on her a little bit. I know
you did. I
didn't.
hated it.
But I know that the franchise was flailing for a little while there, and when you're just bringing back old castmates that they may have liked them like 5-10 years ago, it's not really gonna work. I feel like that's why Roni Legacy got scrapped because they realized like, oh wow, this might not actually work, but they don't know what to do with OC. They don't know if you should get a whole new cast like you do in New York. You have to see how that one pans out, if people actually watch or if they're still just trying to get some of like the old magic back. I'm just not really that excited for it because it doesn't seem that polarizing. I might be pleasantly surprised.
I'm
Look, if
hoping
I
for
go
pleasant
into it
surprises.
with super low expectations and it's pretty good, I'm going to be happy. If I go into it and I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited to start a new franchise and it sucks, then I'm going to be disappointed.
Oh, this is our first dive into OC.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that part of it. All right. Well, as we like to say, we're cautiously optimistic, I guess, but cautiously neutral is probably where I sit. I'm not like dreading it, but I don't have high hopes.
I feel like I'm cautiously pessimistic right now, actually.
You are, but that's par for the course, really. It's shocking I'm not optimistic, but let's start it out with my new favorite franchise. We are in Atlanta, and we already discussed it. I'm thoroughly enjoying this franchise. It didn't disappoint. We got a lot of people telling us for a long time, like, this is one you really need to get into. You guys would love it. They were not wrong. I do love it. So we're at Sonya's, and there's some drama in her household because she moved her family from Jamaica into her house in Atlanta. And her plan was like a loose 1 to 2 years. She just wanted her family back in the picture. I think they've always been kind of tight knit. So she wanted that feeling of like having her family close. And I get it. But at the same time, Ross is kind of over it. He wants to have his family in his own house again. And that I totally understand as well.
Yeah, I kind of see. I mean, I see both sides of it. Obviously, you're trying to do right by your family. Your family got you to where you are, and you want to make sure that you give them a home to live in. Yeah, and I think that there might be a little bit more to this because a little bit later we get to see that Tyrell, her personal assistant, and her sister's husband decided that he was going to quit. And the reasoning behind him quitting, as vague as it was, seemed to be the root of, I don't want to be in the house with all these women, essentially.
That's what they said.
And,
Yeah.
and like, I get it, but you're also a personal assistant for a woman, so I don't really know what you expect there.
That's a really good point.
Maybe whatever. But there's got to be a little bit more going on here. And I don't expect that we're going to get the full story, but obviously it kind of sucks because you get to see her sister kind of flip out and be like, I don't really understand. I'm not really going to talk about this. It feels personal to me, blah, blah, blah. It didn't strike me as personal. I don't know about you.
I didn't think so either.
I think that it makes sense. Like, you can't expect too much. It's been a year. It's a little over a year. You expected 1 to 2 years. Like, were you going to push that second year to the max and then try to move out a little bit after that? Or were you going to be reasonable here and try to get your life together within that year and then be ready whenever you're going to go?
Yeah.
Because her mom doesn't seem to hold that sentiment. Her mom says, they have to do what's right by them.
The mom seems to get it. She seems to get where Sonya's coming from, but then you get the confessional where the sister says she's self-centered and the mom agrees with her. So it's
But that's
kind of
different, a little different anyway, because it seems like her mom individually is okay with it and understands. And also, I can't imagine that Sonya's like, all right, you guys got to go now. I think that they're just trying to start
the process. And like, look, from Ross's standpoint, like I totally understand that. You're sharing your house with essentially another family altogether.
Yeah.
Because they have their own dynamic. I definitely get wanting to come home and kind of feel like you're in your own space and kind of have that separation. That makes sense to me. And I guess I was confused about the reaction because Sonya's not pushing it that hard. She's just like, this is why. And it makes sense. And the sister immediately gets like really upset about it. It's like she's not kicking you out of the house because she doesn't like you. It's like these two are married with a child. They want to like build their life. What I get confused with, Sonya keeps saying that she wants to build something with her family. What does that mean? Like a business? Like she wants to build the business with her family? Like what are they building? That I didn't get.
No, I'm not really sure.
And she uses that every time. Like I just feel like with you guys here, we could build something. It's like, all right, cool. What though?
I don't know if it's like building our family relationship.
It seems to be,
like I said, it was all very vague.
The drama starts to pick up. Now we're at Marlo's Halloween shoot, which I guess is a mainstay for her. And what I love about Marlo is every moment is a moment.
Yeah.
Like there's no in between time where it's just like, oh yeah, we're just chilling. Like it's Halloween pictures. It's whatever. It's like, no, this is a whole thing. Like we're going to have drinks. We're going to get our makeup done. We're going to go to the studio. It's a big hullabaloo. Everything is just like a to-do. And I love it. I love that. That's that old school Real Housewives where it's like everything's blown out of proportion. Everything's extravagant. Everything's a big deal. Like that's what I miss. And to have that again with Marlo is really fun. But then Courtney shows up and I don't know. Does she have a background in this show? Is she new?
She's new. She's
new,
she's
right?
Friend of, but she's new.
She is a tornado.
She's everywhere. She is everywhere. She's trying to figure out. It's kind of funny because we talk about this in other shows when new people pop up and you're like, all right, which side are they going to play? Who are they going to talk to the most? Which allegiances are they going to honor? So on and so forth. Courtney just seems to be everywhere at once.
But
and it's kind of funny because she's showing up at different houses for parties. She's showing up on the Birmingham trip, which I assume is production because, again, she's friend of.
Definitely.
Much like Manetta. But in this sense, she comes over and
she's got her target set on Kandi.
She has her target set on Kandi, but she's not quite ready to do anything about it.
I don't
as
think
we saw
she's-
last week.
Well, I think she's scared.
But I will say, I'm going to double down on what I said last week. Marlo is number one for me on this show.
I love Marlo.
I love Marlo.
Marlo.
I really like her a lot. I think she's real and I think she's funny. And everybody's going to come after me because I like Marlo over, say, Kandi or Sheree or whoever else. I don't care. I like Marlo. I'm going to stick with who I like. The whole thing was fun. And we kind of get into what we saw last week that didn't make a whole lot of sense from Drew's standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
Where we find out, obviously, that Quentin, her nephew, worked for Kandi at one of the places. His obituary picture was in the uniform for Kandi's
Old lady gang.
Yeah. So it just furthers the point that Kandi not saying anything nice or sentimental about it. She has no empathy for this.
Well, I think that
and is it because of Marlo or is it just overall?
No,
and that's what I
so-
want to get into.
So, in my opinion, and again, we're new to this franchise, but from, fresh eyes, what I think it is, I think Kandi is business forward. I think she's worried about the image of her business. I don't think she wants anything damning out there. And I think that she knows that if they go down this road, she's going to have to answer questions about multiple shootings in her establishment. And
Right.
that is not good for business at all. So I think she tries to sidestep it even when she's not on camera because those text messages were separate, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters. I think that any kind of ammo that could be used against her, she just tries to sidestep it. She does the bare minimum, but that's fucked up in this regard because her nephew was shot and killed by his roommate who also worked for you. I think it makes more of a statement if you stand firm and come out and say something. And definitely, at the very least, send Marlo flowers, man.
That's the thing is I feel like if just for the inner workings of a relationship and just reaching out to Marlo like individually is what she wants the most. She doesn't want Kandi to go on a press tour talking about Quentin and how much she loved him and how much his work meant to her or anything like
Just
that.
acknowledge what
She
happened.
just wants to, Marlo just wants Kandi to acknowledge what happened and feel bad and say sorry. That's a real shame. And then send some flowers or something and talk about it.
Be genuine.
Off camera, on camera. I don't care where it is, but to completely ignore it and just act like you have no idea what happened or you don't remember, even though you had a whole text conversation a couple days before, is weird behavior. And I don't really like it.
It's
Yeah.
really cold. But then Courtney comes in with like a pretty big bomb, and it kind of got glossed over because it wasn't that loud on the TV, but there was captions thanks to you. Courtney goes, "It's the culture that Kandi creates."
Mm-hmm.
That's a bold,
That is a bold statement.
Bold statement.
That's right up there with what she said last week, where she said she brings out the ghetto.
Right.
But
Like you are clearly trying to paint a picture here, and I don't know why, as a newbie on the show, you have set your sights on. Well, before I say this, I think she's good for the show.
oh, I think she's great for the show.
But you're going after Kandi out of the gate? Like, that's strong. That's very
It is
strong.
I will say that it is kind of funny when Courtney said that. I caught it because of the subtitles, obviously, and I didn't really hear the audio. And later, Kenya called her Courtney Mumbles.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe she's not quite at the point.
No,
or
she
maybe
said
she's never
Marlo
gonna-
Mumbles.
I thought it was Courtney
Nah,
Mumbles.
she said Marlo
damn it.
Mumbles. Yeah.
But either way, I feel like Courtney specifically isn't at the point where she's ready to say anything with backbone, as we saw last week. I think she's kind of just planting some seeds here and there, maybe with some veterans like Marlo, just to let her know, hey, by the way, I'm going after Kandi. If you want to come along,
Oh, you
and
think
obviously
she's-
spearhead this because I'm not ready to take this.
Can I hold on to your coattails while you go after her?
Pretty much.
But it's
And
kind of working.
If it works, it works. I'm
kind
not
of
going to hate it.
working.
Yeah.
Like, arguably, it is working because Marlo's heated.
Making people discuss it. If nothing else, the first couple episodes that I noticed, people don't discuss things with Kandi because they know she's not going to address them.
Right.
I want her to address things
Well,
already. 4 episodes in, I'm ready for Kandi.
Kandi, it's time for you to talk.
We're gonna get her to talk, and I like that Courtney's the one who's doing this because, again, I mean, how many times have we seen a friend of or a new castmate come in? They struggle to find their footing, and they don't really bring anything to the show, and here and there. Courtney, while she's not doing anything at the forefront necessarily, yes, she is getting into arguments, and yes, she is going face to face with some people. She's not arguing to their face. She's going through the back channels, and she understands how this works. And if she networks correctly, she might get what she wants, and we'll get what we want as viewers because it could lead to a complete blow up on film, and I would love that.
If we continue down the road we're currently going on, it does look like we will be in store for some kind of interaction in which Kandi is forced to speak up and at
Yes.
least address what's happening because you got a lot of people. There's a lot of chatter now. There's a lot of chatter. We didn't hear from Drew because she had the flu, but Drew is in this as well because she got yelled at by Marlo last week. So
Yes.
we have multiple people involved in this. So I think we're going to see a lot. This might be the focal point of the season. We might build into it. It might be the first half. Who knows? But there's definitely going to be more here. But we keep going. We end up in Birmingham. We did get a quick talk with Sheree and her OBGYN. And I always appreciate when these women are able to discuss kind of what they're going through with some pretty serious things. Like she has fibroids the size of lemons in her uterus. And the fact that she is comfortable to kind of share her story. I think that regardless of the platform, whether it be reality TV or sports stars or whomever, anybody that speaks up about things that regular people go through on a day-to-day basis, it's able to humanize and kind of resonate with people. And I think that's important, regardless of how you feel about these characters. That I always like to highlight. But in Birmingham, what?
I thought that the doctor was really funny though because of the pregnancy.
I did
joke.
too. Yeah.
Oh,
my
have you been
God.
trying recently?
I forgot about that. Like, what a fucking
Have
joke.
you been trying? Well, what? I'm just
couldn't
kidding.
believe
It's
that.
just a goof. Come on.
That was. Could you imagine? Like, imagine that. Imagine you're dating somebody and you guys go. Like, she's like, "Can you come with me?" I'm nervous, and the doctor goes, "Oh, you've been trying. Like, how you shit? Like,
Well, this one goes out to somebody who commented on one of our posts and said that they watch, or rather, they listen to us in the car with their children, and we curse too much.
oh yeah, sorry.
That doctor was being a real silly goose.
No, he's being a real silly Billy. Let me
Real
tell you
silly
right
goose out
now.
there.
That doctor was fucking nuts. We're in Birmingham and Drew got the flu, so she's not there. But we get I love a good bus convo. we get a good bus convo, and it's all about eating ass and who partakes, who does not partake. And I want to highlight something that's really interesting that's come about from popular culture in the last decade or so. Eating ass has become like mainstay. Like it's a normal thing to discuss. It's a normal thing for people to do. It's in songs. You got to eat that booty like groceries.
Well, I appreciate they were talking about Future, and they were talking about his ex-girlfriend or whatever. Love Future.
Yeah, I love
So
Future
anytime that
too.
he's popped up 3 times already. His ex-girlfriend was actually, I guess she spoke to one of the women or put something out in the press, and that's what popped up, and it said, "I was just eating your ass a couple of weeks ago. How dare you say something like that now?" Which is so funny. And yeah, I love that it sparked this whole conversation where you get to see all of them just kind of jokingly popping back and forth, talking about eating ass and whether they like to receive or give or whatever. It was fun. It's just all in good fun.
It was a funny conversation, but it was funnier that Kenya is the one that gets spotlighted from this. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, Kenya!" But then the confessionals are like, "I mean, yeah, I would get mine licked, but I wouldn't be, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing the licking." And then other ones are like, "Oh yeah, I'd dabble." Like they've all, in some way, shape, or form, partaken or at least thought about it. But in the moment, Kenya gets like roasted because she's just, they know she has.
You're right. Yeah.
But not much happens after that. We're going to get to the lunch and then the quote unquote fancy party at the end. But as far as the buck off goes, who do you think won the buck off? I didn't think Sheree won the buck off.
Really?
I didn't.
I thought Sheree won the buck off.
I thought Marlo won the buck off.
No, I really thought that Sheree won the buck off.
And you know what? I got to give Sonya props too because she tried her damnedest out there.
I think they all did a really good job. Like that's the one thing that we haven't really been able to see in any of these shows. There's always one person who's just terrible and has no business being out there.
Yep.
In this show, they all looked great.
Yeah,
They took it seriously too. That's the other thing.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, and I don't really know how Kenya's prefacing it, obviously, because it's supposed to be some secret thing that she's going to be at this halftime show. But they all looked great. They were all deserving. I'm not a big participation trophy guy. I think Sheree won.
Okay, so I stand by. I think Marlo won, but Sheree put up a good fight. But we're at lunch, and I have to point out, I will always point it out when it comes up. Marlo ordered her lamb medium well, which is just, you can't have lamb medium well, man. Like, it has to be rare, medium rare at most, but lamb cannot be overcooked. It just simply cannot.
But one more thing in the lunch that happens that I wanted to talk about, because there was a line that I fucking hated, and this is something that we just talked about, things coming back. I hope this comes back to bite Kenya in the ass. We're discussing once again the situation that happened between Drew and Marlo last week, and the way it was phrased. Now, who knows if Drew told Kenya this? We did get that little snippet of FaceTime. The way that Kenya is posing this situation that happened last week, Marlo was aggressive, attacking, standing over Drew while she was talking, and we know that that didn't happen.
No.
Now, do I think that Marlo did go a little over the top and start shouting? Yeah, but she left as soon as she started doing that.
Yep.
So I hated the gaslighting.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little brutal, especially because it was Kenya and Manetta just kind of ganging up.
Yeah.
And you didn't really see anybody else jump in, which I always fucking hate. But the one line that really stood out to me that I really hated was Kenya talking about Marlo and said, you can put makeup on a pig, but it's still Marlo Hampton.
Yeah, she said you can put lipstick on a pig, it's still Marlo.
I wrote down makeup, but either way, lipstick is makeup.
I know. I was just getting it correct. That's all. I'm just correcting you.
Hey, that's fine.
No, I
what
think
you're here for.
I think you're. That's why I take all these goddamn notes. But I do think that you're correct. I think that the picture that she's painting is not what we saw on TV. I did think it was over the top. I don't think she had to come that hard at Drew. But I also understand that 1, she was frustrated, 2, she was emotional, and 3, Drew was kind of playing this like completely clueless act, like what's going on? What's going on? And that would frustrate me, I think.
Right.
So yeah, I think she did her dirty intentionally to try to paint this picture. I think we're going to see that a lot. I think we're going to see those two go back and forth frequently, which I do want to see. I think they can both hold their own. And very rarely do we get 2 housewives that can pair off against one another and really go tit for tat. Like it's not an unmatched playing field, at least from what we've seen thus far. But we get to the hotel and they're going to this, what has been painted and is referred to in the show as like, I thought this was going to be a Met Gala type event. It is not by any means a Met Gala event. It looks like, does it look like a good time? Sure. Looks like a good time. I would go to that party. It looks like if you were going to have like a high school or a college reunion at like a local restaurant or bar. Like that
Yeah.
was the vibe to me.
Yeah, the whole thing was guised as a fashion forward event, which I've already done it once. I'm going to shout out somebody else who said they want us to talk about fashion more. Did you see that one?
I did see that one.
Okay.
I was
Well,
going
they
to bring
want
it
us to
up.
talk
I was going to
about-
bring it up for Summer House. I wasn't going to touch it. But if you want to start here, let's start here.
Start here, and
Yeah,
we'll
let's start here.
Yeah, we'll get warmed up for Summer House. I thought it was really funny that they did say it was fashion forward, and the first person that I saw walking into that party had a hoodie on,
Yeah.
hoodie and jeans.
And then there was another guy that just had like a vest on and like a hat, like a little like dad hat on.
Yeah,
Like,
the whole thing
it was very
made zero
relaxed. It was
sense.
very cash.
Now,
And
do you think that Kenya pushed this forward as a fashion forward event because she wanted to show out and wear a really nice dress, which I liked her dress? Did she want to wear something really stunning and have everybody else look really good? Or was she also misled?
I think that she was slightly misled, but I think the main focus is she wanted to just paint a picture that, oh yeah, I got invited to this extravagant event and they need me to come to this and like I have to show up and it's super important that I show up, which is the best part because they get kicked the fuck out.
Yeah,
because
that
they
is
showed
really
up
funny.
so extravagantly.
And I
Like,
will also say, when you break it down, it's an event honoring a football game at the end of the day.
yeah,
Do you expect, like, I don't know, I assume there's a couple of coaches probably showing up,
you would
maybe some
imagine
alumni and
some
things.
boosters.
I don't think that everybody's showing up in a tux.
I don't think so. Well,
Not
clearly,
for a football game
clearly
thing.
not because they didn't. But it was just funny because they become such a distraction that they legitimately get asked to leave because they're taking away from the focus of the actual event. But if you kind of look at it through how Kenya was framing it, she painted it like she was the main attraction of the event.
Yeah.
So I love that the people that were hosting the party were like, "You are not the topic. This is
That is
about
really funny.
charity. This is about HBCUs. This is about a football game. It's about a lot more than you, Kenya Moore. So get the hell out of here."
I see. This is the thing. I feel like you have to have some sort of wherewithal if you're running this event to say, hey, we're inviting Kenya Moore here, and she has +8.
I
on her
don't know.
list.
So the way they made it seem, I don't know if she made them aware of the amount of people she was bringing with.
They had production and cameras and everything.
Well,
with
not
them,
that.
so
I'm
you
talking
have to
about
get
the
that
group.
cleared.
But they didn't. I don't know if they did. That's what I'm
So
saying.
do you think the way that I took it is that they didn't want the circus of the media with the cameras, the audio people running around, and then also 8 women on top of all of that? I don't even think that they were. If she had just shown up with all of them, I think it would have been fine. But I really do think it was production because production was the first person that came over to Kenya to say, "Hey, they're asking us to leave."
Oh, that's a good
So I
point.
think it was just the production of it all rather than them showing up. So Kenya
Interesting.
could have still been like honored and an honored guest, if you will.
But it didn't. When she walked in, there wasn't like a major fanfare for her being there. It seemed
There was
like
one person that walked by and said, "Hey, I
Oh.
love you."
oh, she goes, "Hey, big fan." He goes, "Oh, thanks." Like that was it though. But
Yeah.
it ends with, I do want to point out Marlo's dig at Kenya was she's a low rent Carrie Bradshaw. I thought
Yeah.
that was a really funny line. But the
Mhm.
episode ends, and I didn't love this. They go back to the hotel. They're trying to understand like what this night was about, what this weekend's about, and they do believe that Kenya's hiding something, which she is. But it's also funny because it's not like she's hiding some big bombshell that she's waiting to drop.
I
Like,
think they thought that she was upstairs with a guy. Like she
Oh, is
said
that
that we're
what you
getting
think?
kicked out so that she can go home and hook up with this dude.
I thought they thought that she was elsewhere, like she went to a different party. I
Or
didn't think
that,
she was going to be
or
in the
that,
room,
yeah.
but I did not like the fact that they're slamming on the door and her daughter's in the room.
Did they know that the daughter? It
No,
seemed
no, no,
like
they
didn't
didn't.
even know.
They didn't. And that's at that point I didn't have an issue. When I had an issue is when Kenya says that, my daughter's in the room, shuts the door, and Marlo hits the door again and
I
starts
think
yelling
they just
again.
don't trust her, honestly. And it's like the way that they painted the picture beforehand, before they even went upstairs, was that she's done this every single trip that they've had.
Oh,
Every single trip, she always escapes and goes somewhere.
right.
She's got
Yeah.
a house in Blue Ridge. She's in a different hotel room. She's over here. She's over there.
They were trying to
So I
catch her.
think they were trying to catch her, and they're like, "Look, there's been repeated behavior of her doing this. Let's go confront her. Why the hell are we sitting in a hotel lobby at 9:30 in our dresses when we were supposed to be going out on the town in Birmingham? Instead, we're stuck at home." Now, again, you can just get your asses out and just go out and have
I
some
thought
fun.
they were going to. That's what I thought the plan was going to
Maybe they were
be.
going upstairs to like drag her out so that she could go. There was a lot of uncertainty, but it seemed like all of the women were on board with it.
Yeah.
And then when
yeah.
she came out and said that her daughter was there, at least everybody walked away, and then Marlo continued to
But that's
knock.
my
But
point. Like even if you don't know for sure that it's the daughter in there, the minute the daughter is brought up, like just drop it. I didn't like that she kept hitting the door because if the child's in there, like that's going to scare the shit out of a kid.
yeah, that's fair.
But that takes us to part one of the summer house reunion. And off the cuff, what'd you think? Like, what's your initial reaction to this episode?
Really toned down. I didn't expect, obviously, VPR fireworks, but I also expected, with the first person getting out of a truck being Lindsay talking about she's ready to go to war, for her to start off the episode sitting down, looking Danielle in the face and saying, I want to have a really nice, not, she didn't say nice, I want to have a long conversation about
Open
open
dialogue.
dialogue. It just, the energy wasn't matched at all. And I hope we do get there, because we didn't dig a whole lot into that relationship. We dug more into the actual relationships on the show. And then obviously Paige with her little quips, which we'll get to.
Ugh.
But underwhelming, honestly, overall.
Underwhelming. They didn't talk about a whole lot. They addressed a lot of shit that we've already talked about in prior seasons. Like, the main focus to me was using the past to justify the current season. I don't want to talk about shit from 3 years ago.
No,
I
not
want
at
to
all.
talk about this season, and we didn't really get that. But the first thing that's brought up, and I didn't realize there was Kyle cheating rumors from this season. Like, that's news to me.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, well, and obviously some of it was hyperbole, but there were rumors that he was cheating on Amanda the entire summer with Sam, which you can
Oh,
usually see when there's two people involved and they're both on camera and something gets brought up. One of the reactions is a little off. Both of them were like, "Oh yeah, Sam and Sierra and Maya,"
yeah. And
and
also,
it was
like,
just a big joke.
during the season, I saw zero chemistry between the two of them. I
I
saw
know.
like a good relationship. Like, Sam was able to talk to Kyle and vice versa.
Yes.
But I did not at any point see like sparks or like a weird moment. It
No, I
seemed
think it's
genuine.
honestly, it just hinges on the fact that Kyle and Amanda had a good season. They argued obviously, but they didn't actually get into a fight at all this summer, and that's not the norm for this show. That happens every summer. There's always some huge meltdown fight, whether Kyle cheated, which happened 3-4 years ago, or they get into a fight when they're drunk, or something else happens, whatever. This season, none of that happened, so it's almost like you have to fabricate some untruths, if you will,
To
to
try
just
to like
throw it
poke
in
a
there and
hole
just
in it,
poke
I
a hole
guess.
in what looks like a good marriage so far. And I really appreciated, with Amanda, we got to see all season where she's struggling and she's not going to the doctor. And then you see Sierra, as a very concerned friend who is also a nurse, gets to talk to her. We find out that she openly just talks about how there's
Both.
how there's post birth control syndrome, which I didn't know was a thing, but why would I know that? And she's openly talking about it. And that's one of the things that we talked about it with Atlanta in the previous episode. This is nice to see, because it's something that I'm sure a lot of people have struggled with. It's something that people didn't know about. And for her to openly talk about it is great. And we like to see that. And we like to see Amanda and Kyle, as they've been called mom and dad of the house overall for the last 5 years. It's nice to see them on the same page and not arguing and not having things poked at them.
Yeah, I agree. But very quickly, the conversation shifts into the cheating allegations from 4 years ago. And they're not really allegations. Like, Kyle cheated. The question that Andy asks Kyle, have you forgiven Lindsay?
So I had an issue with what Kyle said, because Kyle's issue was, and we don't know if this is true or not, there's a lot of things thrown around there and there was never any receipts. But Kyle's issue was, you were sitting on it for months and then brought it up during my birthday week to ruin my relationship and my birthday, which is very funny because he loves his birthday. What Amanda said, I thought was way truer. She said, even if you did know a week before, if Carl was cheating on you, yes, of course, we would figure out the filming aspect, but I would have come to you in private and told you as a friend
I believe that
to
too.
make sure. I believe it as
Yeah, I
well.
do believe
To
that.
talk it out and to let you know what's going on so that you're not blindsided on fucking camera
Yeah.
when everybody else is watching, because that's shitty. And I don't see Lindsay as a person who even thinks like that. Look, I understand you're on reality TV and a lot of people have the mind for it. She does have that, at least, but she is not a good friend. And I don't think that Amanda and Lindsay like each other. They've squashed beefs over and over and over again. I don't think that Lindsay likes anyone in the house, and I don't think anyone in the house likes Lindsay. I don't think that it's part of that mean girl club where if you're a boy's girl, you don't get along with the girls and this and that. To see everybody, obviously, aside from the newbies, to see everybody completely a unified front against Lindsay, there's got to be something there. That's the only thing that I can think of.
I do feel like she, more than anybody else on the show, gets her past thrown at her and used against her when everybody has a past. I think that they weaponize it against her more so than the other people. That being said, I want everyone to take stock in what you just said, because everyone's going to say, oh, you guys hate Paige, you're Lindsay this, Lindsay. No, two people can be wrong in a scenario, and that's what we're going to get into shortly. But I think that the big thing to take away here is what Carl says. Like, Kyle, could it have been handled better if Lindsay was a true friend to Amanda and to Kyle? 100% yes. Like you just said, and you did shift my opinion a little bit. I didn't think of it like that. Yeah, there could have been a pre-conversation. How are we going to frame this? How are we going to go about this so that we can come out of this not blindsided? That would have been the appropriate thing to do. However, if you don't cheat, there is no black tape to get through on how you're going to go about it. So, like, I think Kyle needs to also remember, like, at the end of the day, bro, you fucking cheated. You got caught cheating, and that is a product of what you did.
Yeah, and I really do think that Amanda and Kyle have gotten through that somehow so well.
They do seem
that
to
they're
have, yeah.
able to talk about it in a way that they're actually able to redirect the anger left over from that instead of directing it at each other, directing it at Lindsay. Now, there's more circulating as far as Lindsay breaking things to press as well. And this is the type of shit that I love.
Mhm.
We love a good fourth wall break. So to hear Lindsay kind of holding on to information for production and her not really, I mean, she did kind of deny it a little bit, but
Sorta.
Paige brings up that Lindsay has been leaking things to press for years.
Okay, what?
Exactly.
What? This
So-
is my, yeah. Ugh.
There are different things. She did say specifically that Lindsay and Carl, whoever, leaked that Paige was kicked out of the wedding, or that Craig was kicked out of the wedding, rather. And that wasn't true. And they, again, sort of denied that, but it didn't really come through. The thing that I wanted to ask at first was, okay, Paige, like, you're going to come up with all of these things, but you're not going to say who told you these things.
Or what exactly they are. You
I
just
get
said she
the-
breaks stories all the time. Okay, what story?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I got really frustrated with it. I gave her, as far as the sources go, I gave her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because, look, if you burn sources, they're not going to give you more information. And that seems like something that Paige is going to be super invested in. She even admitted she likes to sit on the bed and gossip with her girlfriends all the time. So if you don't have gossip because your sources aren't giving you information, then what are you going to do? That's what Paige likes to do, so that's what Paige is going to do. But you have to say something specific. The only specific thing that she said the entire time, which we never really got an answer on, was you guys don't have jobs.
Yeah,
The
what
two
do
of them
you
just
mean?
looked and they're like, what? And then that
Carl's
was it.
been at Loverboy
He's not at
for an
Loverboy anymore.
extended period.
He was.
Wow. Can you listen? That
No.
was past tense. Carl had been at Loverboy for a very long time. He had a job. I'm not sure. Lindsay's a publicist. I'm not
don't know.
sure like what that is, but like,
They didn't deny it though. That was the weirdest part. Is
But
if
what do you have
somebody
to
looked at me
deny,
and said,
though?
you don't have a job, I would have laughed and been like, what are you fucking talking about? I work at blah blah blah.
but again, I think the other thing to point out is like, what does it matter though if they do or do not have these alleged jobs you're claiming they don't have if they're still able to pay for their shit?
Because they talk about money a lot. They talk about how expensive their
They
apartment
do.
is. They
That's
talk about
fair.
how expensive their ring is. They talk about how expensive the new car was. They always talk about how expensive things are.
But before we dive fully into the Lindsay versus Danielle thing, we got to check in with the newbies. And the newbies had a good season. I think that Sam was great for the entirety of it. I enjoyed her from start to finish. Chris, I liked him from the jump. I don't know if everybody did. You had to warm up to him, but I thought he ended up having a good season. And Gabby, comeback player of the year, because of the self-awareness that she figured out halfway through and like made actual adjustments to her life. That's my favorite thing to see. You
Yeah.
love the fourth wall break. I love when people actually take stock in what other people are telling them and like noticing about them and then actually try to actively make changes for the better. Like that's when I get like really happy. So I
Yeah.
love that Gabby was able to do that. I was harsh on her in the beginning, mainly because the astrology shit drove me nuts. But for her to get some self-awareness and make adjustments and changes to her life to be better and be a better version of herself, I love that. So Gabby, comeback player of the year, good for you. But the second half of this episode is all Lindsay and the left side versus the right side. I guess the newbies don't really count in this feud, but they are kind of lumped into that left couch. But Carl had a really good sentence, I think. Really good sentence. A really good statement where he says he understood that there would be some resentment and he understands why. Like, Lindsay does have a past, and he understands that couples tend to have a target on their back when they walk into the house. He just wanted more of a positive reaction than they got, because they really didn't get that
No, they
much
really
positivity throughout the season. Kyle kind of faked it, I think, which I appreciate, that at least as a friend, he knows, like, all right, I have to show up for my buddy. Like, I do like that about it. But at the same time, a lot of it seemed forced. The newbies all think that it's genuine. They were like, "Oh, I've been to their house. They are always like this." Do you think they're always like they are on TV?
No, there's no. I don't think any of them are all
Yeah, I don't
how
either.
they are on TV. I think that's a
I don't either.
preposterous question to ask them and to ask other people. Obviously, they're going to say, "Yeah, they love each other and the relationship is real." Blah blah blah. Whatever. Who cares? You can't expect them to always be on and always be calling each other babe. And I think they're just being cognizant of the cameras being in the room, as we see when they leave after their engagement party and come back and Carl throws a curtain over the camera.
Yeah, but
I think they know what's going on and they don't want to show that part of their relationship. I wish they would, because I really feel like it would make it a little more real. We talk about this whole fairy tale relationship, and Danielle kind of gets into it a little bit, where she says it looks like they want everybody to think they have a fairy tale relationship. And we know they don't. We know that them as people, we've seen them fight with each other. We've seen them fight with a lot of other people. And then on camera, you see it and it looks like they're in love all the time. There is something to be said about a honeymoon phase, but I wish that they would show a little bit more of their arguments or disagreements, or, I don't want to see them fighting to the point that Carl has to get out of bed and leave. I want to see them fight and then squash it.
I agree.
Then it becomes
It
real.
becomes real, but I also think that it's funny that they get painted in a negative image for trying to put out the best image of themselves, which is what everybody on this show is trying to do. This is where I start to take their side, is because of the hypocrisy that we start seeing when these arguments start coming up. And the first thing that I did actually appreciate from Lindsay, Kyle talks about how if any of his friends were dating Lindsay, he'd have some concerns because he knows her. What Kyle did well was kind of explain why.
Yeah, I'm happy that he got the chance to explain why, because that first half of that statement was wild.
I completely agree, because they kind of just sit back and let the other people react to everything, and they're fairly calm, which is new for Lindsay to see that.
Do you think that's an act?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think that they kind of, but I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, where they're, if they go into it, especially Lindsay, if she comes out and gets activated, like Lindsay activated, then everyone's gonna be like, see, that's her. Told you. Like, she needs
agree
to
with
have
that.
some tact in going into it. But I do like that Kyle was able to explain himself, because he says, and when you drink, you're argumentative, you're loud, you're tough to deal with, honestly. And Carl's sobriety was very, very fragile. In your first year of sobriety, it is like a known thing. You are not supposed to date until you are 1 year through your sobriety. That
Mhm.
is a standard thing across the board. And they started to date a little bit before his 1 year. So, as a good friend, obviously Kyle had some reserves about it. And obviously, knowing Lindsay and what she's capable of, he was nervous. So, he voiced those things. Lindsay says that's a fair concern. That's a reasonable thing to be worried about for your friend. So I appreciate that she took it well. Is she actually taking it well? I don't know, but I appreciate it in the moment. She's like, yeah, that's a fair thing. This is when we get the mean girl coming in. And we've seen throughout the episode, Paige has been making faces. She's been saying little comments to the side, which I cannot stand when anybody does that. Anybody. It could be any show, any cast member, man, woman, does not matter. When you do those little snarky things on the side, you always look like an asshole,
Yeah.
no matter what the situation is. But they ask flat out, do you guys think that they're putting on a show? The newbies say, no, absolutely not. And that's when Paige goes, everything's a show. And the People magazine thing comes out. And she's so quick to discredit whatever they're saying. It doesn't fucking matter what they say. They could have a newspaper clipping with all of the evidence in the world, and Paige would still have something to say about it. She would still roll her fucking eyes at it. And it's just, it doesn't help your argument. If you're trying to make these people look bad, you sitting there rolling your eyes and being an asshole does not help your case. But she brings up the People magazine thing. And it's like, oh, I know how People magazine works. That's not how it works. You can't just all of a sudden pop up on a Sunday. Like, you need to have, that's premeditated. Everything they do is produced. It's all produced, but you don't have any evidence. And the one thing that you tried to use was debunked by an editor from People magazine. That's like, no, by the way, that's not how People magazine works, Paige. Clearly you don't know what's going on, because we got wind of this from other people seeing them in a public forum We got hints from people that this was happening. We jumped on it. We posted the story. So maybe Paige needs to do a little more research on how the magazine works, but she's so steadfast in her beliefs that it's infuriating.
Yeah, Paige went about it the very wrong way the entire time. And I don't know what it is with Paige and reunions. We don't get a whole lot from her during the season.
Nothing
we get
during
her
the
sitting
season.
in bed, obviously with Craig in the picture. It makes things a little more interesting with her because we get to see her kind of go through the relationship. And obviously we talked about how they had 17 conversations about what they want to do for their next step. I will say, when it comes down to Lindsay and Carl and their relationship being a whole production and them always being in love, I don't think it's hypocritical for other people to judge that. I think that if Paige had gone into it and said, look, you guys on this show act like you're in love all the time. I'm in a 1-year relationship and you've seen 15 conversations that I've had with Craig, both drunk and sober, about what we want to do next. And we don't always agree. And we try to figure it out and do this and that. And it's real. You see Amanda and Kyle deal with Kyle's cheating allegations, Kyle actually cheating, Amanda going through what she's going through. And then they get into huge arguments and fights. You don't really see who cares about Danielle and Robert because they're not together anymore. You see Maya and Oliver have a huge blow up at the end. That's super real.
No.
Really
Don't fucking use that one. Don't use that one because Maya did everything in her power to keep that off the camera. I have a list of receipts.
He's also at the summer house.
But it doesn't matter because she actively went about it to try to hide it. She went in the bathroom. She pulled mics off. No, she did. She gets no fucking credit there. Absolutely not.
Who gets no credit there?
Maya. For showing nothing on camera. She did everything in her power to keep it off of the camera. This is where the hypocrisy comes in. And I have a list. Literally, I wrote down a list of receipts.
All right, that's fair. All right, relax. You're activated.
You tell me to react.
You're activated
Reacts.
over here.
I said reacts. Don't you tell me to relax, pal.
You might
I'll
need
jump
to.
across this fucking couch and hit you with my notebook.
All right, fine. I'll agree to drop Maya because she did actively try to do that, even though he was still in the summer house, which made no sense, and we really don't quite understand that. But there are other moments by people in relationships that you get to see on camera, and it seems very real. We don't have conversations about, are they just playing it up for the camera? Are they doing this and that and whatever? We don't talk about Kyle and Amanda having a really good summer and we say, are they just sweeping things under the rug and not doing it on camera? We're giving them the benefit of the doubt. But for Lindsay and Carl, it just seems too much like a fairy tale. And I go back to what I said earlier, where I don't think that this is just a disagreement with Lindsay's principles and these other girls, and they just hate her for no reason. I think there is a reason here, and we're not really seeing it play out. And I wish that these people like Paige or Sierra who are criticizing Lindsay would come with receipts, because I know that there has to be something more there. I don't just think it's a feeling that they have where they just don't like one girl in the house. There's got to be more. And I want to see it.
See, I just think they're being mean girls because they have had so many negative interactions with Lindsay over the years that they're just using this to pile on. And here's the other thing. They want to lean on this fairy tale narrative. They want to lean on the fact that they're not trying to show anything on camera. You know what you do when you have a house full of people that actively root against you and actively try to start shit and actively talk shit?
You get engaged.
You push those two people closer together. They're not going to fight in the house because they're always going to be on the same page because it's those two versus everybody. They're on camera. They're not actually fighting because they're fighting against all of you. The only time you see them at odds is when she's lit and they get into some shit.
Then Danielle starts talking about that night in Montauk.
Okay.
Dude, all right. He took
that
a
night in
4-hour
Montauk?
Uber home from Montauk.
Absolutely.
You don't
That's
think
a real
something bad
fight.
happened?
But that's irrelevant. Of course they have fights. I'm not saying that there's a picture perfect relationship. And yeah, a 4-hour Uber is a big deal. Like, that's a big fight. Most relationships have blowout fights. I don't think that anyone's sitting here saying that they don't have this shit. What drives me nuts is that you have this cast of mean girls on the other couch. By the way, Sierra and Lindsay were fine until the reunion because she's been sitting there talking to Paige for the last 2 months and Paige flipped her. What I think is annoying is that you're going to use all these things and you're coming at it with zero evidence. But if we look on the contrary, and this is a fucking list of receipts that I put together because it's ridiculous that they get dragged for this shit. But we've seen this time and time again. She's all bent out of shape because Lindsay leaked something. Let's talk about Craig leaking to Dumois about Luke having his thing. But we don't talk about that. That's your man, Paige. He did the same fucking thing. We're not going to crucify him for that. No. What about when you guys were in Winter House? And that whole shit with Austin and Lindsay putting her hand on his dick after the wedding. That was you once again. You were involved in that shit. We're not going to talk about that, are we? Because nothing came of it because it wasn't a big fucking deal regardless of whether it happened. Her and Carl weren't together yet. You tried to start that fire. Didn't fucking work. On the show, we get shit because Lindsay brings up stuff in the past. Kyle drunkenly talks about Carl being coked out on the job. Next, Kyle brings up the fact that Lindsay stepped out on Everett, which is the same fucking thing that Lindsay did to Kyle. And yet Lindsay is the villain and the only one that does this now. All of these things are against them. But when it comes to the Summer House cast, they forget the fact that they start all these fucking fires. They didn't pan out the way they wanted them to, but we're going to brush those under the rug. Craig's a fucking snake. He tries to do shit all the time. It never works because he's dumb as a fucking rock. Paige sits there and snarkily giggles and makes comments on the side because she has no substance to bring to the argument because she doesn't get involved. She sits on the sideline for the whole fucking season in bed and gossips and laughs at people's downfalls. The only time we see Lindsay and Carl actually fight, she's sitting in her room giggling about it because she finally sees them like at odds with one another. Why are you rooting for them to fail? Why are you actively rooting for them to fail, regardless of how you feel about them? Like, get over yourselves. Understand that literally on this list of shit, you have all done the exact same things that you are yelling at Lindsay for in the previous seasons on other shows with other people, but the fact that she's doing it, that's the fucking problem because you fucking hate this person and that's the only reason. There's no merit, there's no substance, it's bullshit and I'm fucking sick of it and it's all driven and they saw this, it's all opportunistic. That's all it is. They saw a chance because Danielle was slighted. They like Danielle more than Lindsay. They jumped on this stupid fucking bandwagon to try to take her down. Regardless of how you feel about Lindsay, and I agree with you a lot of the ways, I'm not saying she's a fucking champ. I'm not saying that she's clean in any of this. I'm saying if you're going to fucking drag her for this, remember what the fuck you've done.
Yeah, we may have had audio issues before, but I'm sure it's nice and loud for you now.
Yeah, you like that? You can hear me now?
The slamming of the book.
Verizon, can you hear me now?
God.
I honestly, that has been building up all season. It's been driving me absolutely insane that I'm not saying that she's not wrong. I'm not saying her and Carl don't have issues. I'm not saying they shouldn't address them on camera. We have all of this evidence pointing to them doing the same shit. Maya trying to keep her shit off of TV is the same thing as those two trying to keep their shit off TV.
Yeah, but
She just
Maya's
did a
not
worse
an
job.
important character.
I agree with that.
So nobody really cares.
I
But
totally
I mean, it's the same thing,
It's the same
but it's
thing.
also nobody cares.
Nobody
because
cares.
They're not as polarizing as Lindsay
For
is.
sure.
And Lindsay's been on the show for
That's my
years and years and
point.
years.
So
I know, I get it, but there's got to be a reason why everyone hates her. That's the thing. Every single person on this show, except for the newbies, hates Lindsay.
but can that be?
And there's the allegations where she threw a fucking shoe at a producer.
Right.
Who throws a shoe?
I'm not, honestly, who throws a shoe?
That's
Austin
3 straight
Powers,
weeks
that's
of Austin
3. Let's
Powers,
go.
yeah. Nice.
Sound issues. I guess that's that. Yeah, you're saying the same things that I'm saying. I get.
I'm
what
not
you
like
mean.
I'm not agreeing that anybody should be rooting for anybody's downfall except for Sandoval, but that's the whole thing is that there's one huge piece of this just not adding up somewhere, and it's why everybody is so confident in hating Lindsay.
Could it be? This is genuine question. Could it be simply because of her past? Because she was an asshole for a long time, and they just hold that against her. And is that fair considering everyone has gone through their phases on this show?
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, maybe especially with this crew, you never really see second chances handed out ever, and I just don't think that Lindsay's done enough. We talk about how we like to root for people to come back after they do something bad or whatever and show that they've changed as a person. Yeah, Lindsay stopped drinking for a little while. We don't know if that was for Carl or more for herself. We're not going to analyze that because she did it anyway, so that's good. But overall, she hasn't really changed. She's gotten almost better at being snide. She's gotten better at being cold and emotionless. And
disagree with
obviously,
you.
I don't think so. In the past,
You don't
when
think
she
I
was,
disagree with you? I do disagree with you.
I don't think that your part of the argument makes sense there. I think that she is just a little more reserved, and we get to see it during this reunion. She's not lashing out at people. She's not doing this and that. During the talk with Danielle, you say that she's just completely done. I think she's changed for not for better or for worse. It's more of like a horizontal jump where she's not showing emotion. She's not yelling. She's doing way worse with her facial expressions and smiling during Danielle's downfall and things like that. And now she's not showing it as much. She's
But is that
reserved,
not-
but it's still there. She's still being that person.
But to make the cognizant effort to not do that is a step forward.
I don't think that's what I don't think she's doing. I think she's still being that person, just in a different way.
disagree. I think
All right,
again,
hold
I'm
on.
going to leave it at
during the when Kyle blew up
Yeah.
and was freaking out.
Mhm.
Who was sitting on the ground smiling the whole time?
But to that argument, dude,
But that's what she does
but
now.
Paige sits in
Oh, I
bed
know.
and
I'm not
smiles
excusing
too.
Paige because I hated Paige during this whole reunion.
Okay,
It
fair
was
enough.
bullshit.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying that she's changed the way that she approaches being snide. She smiles and lets other people do things and then gets enjoyment out of that.
I think
And then gets mad at Carl afterwards because he didn't do enough.
when she's drunk and they get in arguments, it's different. Here's the thing, and I'm going to leave it at this. I think that if we're looking, and we pride ourselves on this, we pride ourselves on evidence, right? We pride ourselves on taking what we're seeing and analyzing it. Could there be more behind the scenes? Absolutely. Is there? Probably. I'm saying from face value, watching this season, what she did and what she partook in is not worthy of the backlash that she received. This kind of backlash was warranted for the past 4, 5, 6 seasons, sure, because she had a lot more damning moments.
Do you think that
during this
Danielle was
season.
kind of like the bodyguard? Now that the bodyguard's gone, they're just going after her.
No, I think that Danielle was.
We saw Danielle Sierra threw the glass at Danielle, but she was the only one who was standing up for Lindsay left.
I think
no one was willing to go through Danielle to get to Lindsay. Now Danielle's not there. Carl's there, but they're not afraid of Carl, so they're just going after her. That's what I think's going on.
I don't think it was a bodyguard scenario. I think that they were looking for a caveat to latch on to kind of drive this thing, and the falling out with her best friend was the easiest way to go about it.
Yeah.
They could pile on that train.
Looking at it just from a subjective point of view, even just on Lindsay's side, I don't know what enjoyment she gets out of being on this show with these people. Like, she should be looking, we talked about it.
Take her to Roni.
Last week. Go to Roni. Go do a different show. Go spearhead something else. Or, if you still want to be on Bravo, if that's truly what you want to do, find another show to go to because this isn't worth it. And I don't think that you're going to get the same backlash just because people have watched Summer House in the past. Like, we don't really see that on housewife shows. If you can go do something in the city or start a new thing where it's like Real fucking Girlfriends of New York. I don't know what to call it, but
just take her to Roni.
Go to Roni, do something else.
She'd be a great housewife.
There's no way that you, and definitely not Carl, because I felt so bad for Carl multiple times. He's the only one who can stand up for her, and he can't do it every single time. She has to talk for herself, but he has to constantly just stand up and do this, and stand up and do this, and stand up and do this. And I'm not saying that Lindsay's making him do that by any means. He's just being a good fiance, a good husband, whatever. But at the end of the day, neither of you are getting enjoyment out of the show anymore. I think it's got to be stressing you the fuck out, unless part of Lindsay actually enjoys doing this.
I mean,
there might be some of it. I don't know.
But I think that overall, and obviously we have a part 2, and do we have a part 3 to this?
I think so.
Oh God. Well, my issue with Summer House is this, and then we're going to move on to questions. My issue is, this used to be my break from major drama that is Real Housewives. Like, Summer House was always drama sprinkled with fun, sprinkled with lighthearted. It was more lighthearted. That's exactly what it was. It has now entered the realm that most Bravo shows are going, which is drama, 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 dark, dark, dark. Let's see how bad it can get. Let's just keep throwing more wood on this fire. And I'm kind of bummed out that this is where it has gotten to. I want to get back to the last 3 episodes of this season where it's just a fucking party. Some shit goes wrong. There's a little drama behind the scenes. We get a big blowout here and there, but like the overall air about it now is that of every other show we're watching, where it's just like heavy. But that takes us to the question portion of the show. Lindsay is awful to so many people. Why do you guys always appear to side with her? We don't, man.
We don't at all.
Like, we never have. We are always objective, especially with Summer House.
We just had a huge argument last week and this week.
Yeah, we don't. So, I don't know. From Joanna Dugan 08. How do you guys feel about the Summer House seating lineup?
Not surprised. I mean, I don't really know where you go with, obviously, Lindsay and Kyle being at the front with Carl and Amanda. I don't put a whole lot of thought into the seating chart for Summer House.
I don't either.
That. I guess they would want Danielle up there. Danielle and Lindsay on either side of Andy, maybe.
That would make the most sense to me, but I don't know.
And then you push Kyle and Amanda down a little bit. I don't know.
From Janet B24, why doesn't Paige say any of the things from the reunions to Lindsay during filming?
We don't know.
We have no idea, but it's infuriating. Let me tell you, Janet B.
I think she's I honestly think she's afraid of Lindsay.
Oh, I love that. I want that to get out there.
Yeah, I think she's scared.
Post that somewhere, guys. Go start a fire. From Sam Carsano or Sam Carcano? Or Sam Car Canoe. Does the show...
God damn it.
Yes. Does the show need a reboot starting next summer? We talked about it a little bit. I think they need to revamp it. I don't know that you dog everybody on the cast, but...
I think we would know by now if they were doing a major shakeup.
I think that's the biggest... Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Last one. Oh, love this one. From Snarky XTS. If you were Craig, would you be okay with your girlfriend making you the butt of a joke with her gaggle of friends? Absolutely not. I hated those scenes. I don't even like Craig.
I don't think Craig... I think Craig's... We've seen him say that he's scared to lose Paige. I think that he will let her do whatever the hell she wants.
But I do want to reference, I hated the scenes. I think it was the last episode or second to last episode when Craig is crying because he missed his mom's birthday and didn't call her till like late, and he was crying, and clearly the tears weren't about his mom as much as they were about an underlying issue he's having with his relationship. And Paige proceeds to make fun of him and pretty much call him a bitch for crying. I hated that. I think that there is so much more in that relationship that we're not getting, that we don't get to see. And like, I think we saw like some cracks in it with Craig kind of breaking down.
Yeah, I mean, I think we see what we see. I think that happens all the time. And I think that we just kind of miss the certain little quips
Nuances.
and snaps that Paige takes at Craig. Like, I can't imagine that it's the other way around. I can't imagine.
No shot
if
is he
Craig
taking shots
said
at her.
anything shot related to Paige, she would buckle.
Absolutely. I don't think that you get that, and I think it's bullshit. And I feel
bad.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
As much as like I'm not a huge Craig fan, I do feel bad for him in a lot of situations.
I agree. But I'm so drained.
It is really funny because you did say earlier in the show, a lot of reunions going on. I'm so emotionally exhausted, and I'm like, this reunion really wasn't that bad. And then you let it all out. I'm like, geez, dude,
I feel better.
Well, that's good.
I feel better, but
therapeutic.
It's not healthy. This is not healthy. Like
being emotionally invested in like 6 TV shows at one time.
Yeah, I think that we're taking years off of our lives, but you know what? That's what it takes. Early death. But that's all we got tonight. Remember to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on TikTok at @brav_bros. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. We're putting a lot more content out there, so make sure you get on the YouTube train. Don't forget, tomorrow night, which is actually tonight. By the time you're listening to this, it's tonight. We are at Barstool Sansom. We are hanging out for the VPR reunion part 2. It's going to be an absolute blast. The first one looked like it was extremely fun, so we're looking forward to this one.
I think we got to know, are you going to be wearing jorts?
I've gone back and forth on it.
I've
gone back and forth on it. So, hey, if you're going to be at Barstool Sansom tomorrow and you have an opinion on whether or not I should wear jorts, let us know. Maybe I'll put up a poll. Should I wear jorts tonight? And the last thing is get your tickets for our live show in New York City, July 26th. We are super excited. It's another No Filter night out with Zach, Peter at the City Winery. Tickets are on sale now, but they are selling way faster than Philly, which is surprising because Philly sold fast, but we are light years ahead of where we were with Philadelphia. So if you're waiting to get your tickets, if you're waiting to the last New York minute, if you will, don't, because they're running out. Get your tickets. Come hang out with us in New York City. We are stoked. Ready to go, baby. You got anything else?
Nope.
Let's get the hell out of here. BravBros are out.
See you Friday.
Deuces.